The time is now 11:21, and I'm talking to Hani Soubra, who is BBC World News' regional director for Pakistan and MENA. He's written a book called Letters to Dahlia, which is for his two beautiful daughters. But we're just setting that up by talking about the political situation and the religious, I suppose, political religious situation in Lebanon, where he comes from, and also we're talking a little bit about the quartet and intervention by major countries in the region. We just talked about the flotilla and so on. And I wanted to ask you, well, a challenging question, and don't take this in the wrong way. You're kind of in broadcast, of course, with BBC World News, and public relations. You understand how to work public relations. Don't you think that Israel is very, very good at PR, and Palestine is very, very poor at PR?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For the last couple of weeks, some friends have been circulating massive advertising pages in the U.S. media about why the U.S. needs to keep on supporting Israel, why the U.S. needs Israel as their natural ally in the region. Now, conversely speaking, on the other side of the camp, you have nothing like that circulating in the media. But that's a small example. But overall, Israel has always been stronger than Arabs at large in media and propaganda issues. That's definite.
Now tell me about Lebanon itself and how it really works on a day-to-day basis. It's got this incredibly complicated, fractured kind of constitution, and even I can't begin to explain it. All I know is that, having visited Beirut an awful lot and met with government officials and government ministers, you will walk into one ministry. I remember when a couple of years ago, the Ministry of Economy, for example, was entirely run by the Druze. It was a Druze enclave. And then you walk into another ministry and it's run by Maronite Christians. And then and the speaker is a different religion from the president always.
Correct.
Then you get these situations where you've got a president like Fuad Signoria. Is he Prime Minister, rather?
Yeah, ex-Prime Minister.
Ex-Prime Minister now, who, by the way, was interviewed beautifully by Richard Dean on Richard Dean's show last week. They suddenly are embattled, stuck in their building and surrounded for months and months on end by agitators. I mean, you would think that by now Lebanon would be a completely failed state. So what is the glue that actually binds it together and makes it work?
Well, unfortunately, we still carry the heavy heritage of sectarianism, which has been planted organically in the country ever since its independence. The presidency is for the Maronites, the prime minister post is for the Sunnis, and the head of the pyramid is for the Shiites, commander of the army, Maronites, so on and so forth. So all key senior class A positions are divided by sect. This is unfortunately part of the heavy sectarian heritage that we have carried, and up till now, I would say no serious attempt has been made to eradicate it for a totally different set of reasons. Now, how do they all work together? It's all about mutual interest. It's all about mutual interest. There has been a term that has been introduced in Lebanon in the early 90s called Terwika. Terwika is the carriage that's been pulled by three horses. The presidency and the prime minister and the head of the parliament. So they all sit and they agree what is good for the country according to what they perceived as the benefit of the country. Now that is a very risky scenario here, because if they fall off, then the country is going to be the entity that will pay the price, similar to what we are seeing now. The opposite of this, Terwika, is the land of institutions, the governance of institutions. That's what we don't have. The only two strong institutions that we have now, and they are beyond comparison in this part of the world, are our army and our central bank. But when it comes to the actual decision-making center points, it's all by mutual interest, a mutual consent, mutual understanding. Dangerous one.
Absolutely. Now, the book, Letters to Dahlia, and Dahlia is an ellipse of the names of both of your daughters.
Yes.
What are they called?
Dala and Leah.
Dala and Leah, okay. Yep. And how old are they?
Dala is 11, Leah is 7 yesterday.
Happy birthday to you. And basically you thought, I want to leave some kind of inspirational thoughts for my kids for the future. Presumably you want to see a future in your region, which is utterly different from the situation that prevails today. So what does it say?
Well, Well, Dahlia is the future generation that will be exceptionally resentful and unaccepting what is happening around them. The abuse in the name of religion, the abuse in the name of ideology, the bad governance, the circus that never ends around us in the name of governance. Dahlia is not somebody who will burn tires or break windows. On the contrary, they are intellectuals, they are smart, they read a lot, they love music, they hate listening to fire speeches. Ahmadinejad Najad will do nothing to them. So it's not a generation that will follow blindly or walk on landmines like what we have seen in the last 20 or 25 years. So Dahlia is uncontaminated. It's very rich in culture. She's very rich in culture. She's very rich in values of coexistence and harmony.
In harmony. But is it realistic, what you're proposing?
I think at the end of the day, everything is possible, everything is doable. If you go back in history and read, for example, an exceptionally tranquil and civilized country like Switzerland did go through 150 years of civil war until they reached to this level. The US, with all its might, did go through a staggering 5 years of civil war, 6 million in casualty. So passing through a rough phase is okay. All nations have passed through that. England has passed through that. France has passed through that.
Absolutely.
So on and so forth. So the hardship is okay. But what is not okay is the continuation of the hardship till eternity. And that's what we are witnessing here. From year on year, ever since independence of the majority of the Arab countries, we are moving from one hardship to another. Once it's destruction in the name of nationalism, and then it's destruction in the name of communism, and now it's religion. There is absolutely nothing wrong with religion, but there is a lot of wrong in the abuse of religion. I can speak about the Taliban, I can speak about the revolutionary guards in Iran, I can speak about Al-Qaeda. All these are abuse in the name of religion. And we have seen it before in Europe. We have seen the Crusades. We have seen how they marched blindly and fanatically to this part of the world, either in the name of the Holy Grail or in the name of Jesus' handkerchief. But it was all exploitation. They came out of imperialist occupational intentions. So this abuse needs to stop. We don't have to drag ourselves to the extent that Europeans did in the medieval ages to reach that conclusion.
When is the point at which your daughters will be mature enough to read this book and understand it, do you think?
A couple of years maybe for Dala. I think 13, 14 onwards. And the idea, another idea behind the book is to have an open mind. There are lots of historical data, incidents, there are lots of names in the book. And of course, for my limitation and as a writer, I encourage Dalia as a generation, search more, research more. Nothing holds the absolute truth. George Bush came with an absolute truth. Bin Laden came with the absolute truth. Saddam did the same. But they are all mongers. They are all mongers. They are all exploiting a particular set of sentiments in you aimed for an agenda.
Absolutely. And
that's unacceptable.
Absolutely. And I think, as you just suggested, actually, in the answer to the previous question, people have got to have a greater historical sense of perspective. And I think that there is always hope for the future, because also, as you suggested, these kind of periods of intransigence or belligerence are always, when seen in the context of history, to be very temporary. So we wish you all the best with the book.
Thank you.
Who have you self-published, or have you got a publisher?
I have self-published via a publisher based in the US, Eastern Press Studios, and now, because I have the right, I'll be publishing here in Dubai,
right.
And slowly I'll be venturing outside the region.
And if people want to find out more about it, is there some way that you
Yes, it's available now in Magrudi's in all of Dubai. It will be available next week in Borders across Dubai and in Lebanon and other parts of the world, because I'm still finalizing the final contract now with the distributor.
And published in English and Arabic?
No, only English. Arabic translation will come probably in a month or so.
How interesting. Hani, it sounds absolutely wonderful and very, very inspirational.
Thank you.
That's Letters to Dahlia, Hani Soubra's new book. Hani is the regional director of BBC World News for Pakistan and also this area, MENA. And that book is a passionate plea for the future, which we hope will see a lot of religious tolerance. Hani Soubra, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks again.
And with the time now 11:30, time to cross to the ARN News Centre for the latest news headlines.